Well, I'm all alone, so you know what that means. It's time for another Lighthouse Lab. Matt Almendayer here. Just wanted to go through just some of the great technology that we have at our fingertips here at Lighthouse IT Solutions. And what we do during the Lighthouse Labs is just highlight one of these really cool solutions that we have that maybe you didn't know that we're doing. And so what I'd like to do is take a look at one of those for us right now and take a look at Hatz AI. What's Hatz AI? Well, it's an AI platform. But before you go ahead and start hitting skip or downvoting or doing whatever you're about to do, let's have a real talk about business and AI. The reality is that there is very much a maturity to AI that your business could and very likely should be doing some form of utilization with AI. Now, I can't sit here and tell you exactly what it is that you want to do, but my goal is to show off a safe, secure, and business-associated and targeted AI chat system that I think will help your business thrive, grow, and take some of the guesswork out of the security side of things. And for that, we partnered with a company called Hatz AI, whose Hatz has done the hard part of creating connections to not just one, not just two, but something in the neighborhood of like 60 to 80 different AI models that we can use to find solutions to modern and everyday problems. The other thing is that it's a framework for creating agents. And so now you can start creating your own agentic AI and integrate with their tools modules. It's a modern AI without a user cap that's based on token consumption. And we'll get into a little bit about how all of that works out with the billing side of things. But just know it's a very simple way to get yourself in the door. And more importantly, Hatz AI focuses on business safety and security for your users. Makes it kind of a no-brainer. In fact, here at Lighthouse, we use it quite a bit. It's one of my favorite utilities to use during the day. We use Microsoft Copilot as well, and you're welcome to use those. It's a per user cost, and there's a lot that you can get out of it. But the Hatz AI platform gives us some versatility that you just don't get anywhere else. All right, enough talking. Let's dive into the platform. So I've already taken the liberty of logging into our Hatz AI portal, mostly because you don't need to know my password. Stay back. And what we're doing is we're going to be greeted by the welcome back, Matt. What can secure AI help you accomplish? And that's just it. This is a different type of AI. It's a secure AI. It's not learning on the data that we provide it. It is merely using it for context. Have you ever used AI before? Maybe you're not. Let's go ahead. Let's talk a little bit about what it looks like to just generically engage with AI. So for that, I'm going to click on chat. That's right. At the end of the day, most AI is just an engaging chat. So if we go ahead and we take a look, here is our chat context window. For that, you'll see really on the left-hand side, our secure AI chat where we can search for previous chats. I don't have any here. We can view our history of chats, or we can start a brand new chat. And basically, the new chat is going to wipe kind of the memory of the AI and create a brand new session so that we can have a fresh, unobstructed, or uninfluenced chat window for it. Well, I don't have any other, so we're already starting off with a brand new. So we'll look at the right-hand side. The right-hand side is our current session. Let's take a look around here. Chat GPT 5 came in and was already selected, but if I click on this drop-down list, you'll see I have agents that I'll have. We'll get to talk really into those in just a minute. As well as some featured models that they recommend that you check out, such as, hey, look, we've already got, at the time of this recording, GPT 5.2 available. as well as Gemini 3, a preview, Claude 4.5, and this one is really cool. Nano Banana is a really great one for creating graphics and media. Now, I know what you're saying, but man, I don't really know what I want to use for my model, because different models are great at different tasks, but I don't want to research them. If we go down and we scroll just a little bit more, it's going to give you categories that give you a great idea of what models are best for what. So, for instance, if what I want to do is have my AI look at an image and help me understand something more, I need it to have vision, okay? So I would click on the vision section, and now what I'm going to get is a pop-up over here on the right-hand side that is going to show me all the models. Now I'm filtered by ones that have vision associated with them. And these now are just, again, so these are models that I can upload photos, and they can, quote, see the photos and be able to extrapolate information from them. If we go back here and I pick something else, advanced have high ability. They've got a lot more steps, and intuitiveness tend to be more expensive. Tool calling means that they can talk to outside services such as Google and what have you. Fast means, look, I just have something really simple. Time is of the essence. Don't make it overcomplicated. And that's a great one. Let's go ahead and let's just check out fast. And for that, it's recommending two models here. We can go with Gemini 2.1 Flash, or we can go with Haiku 4.5. Another thing that it's going to tell us is cost. Now, you do get a plan, and we'll constantly come back to this concept of tokens, okay? Because there's different models, and these different models actually have different pricing structures. You get this credits-based structure. There's no cap on users. It's all based on how much credits that you have. Now, credits are sort of a, arbitrary value, but they're weighted against what each model is. So I'm not saying this is how it works, but let's just, if ChatGPT is 1-to-1 for its credit model, then Gemini 2.15 or 2.5 Flash might be 0.25 credits per, we'll say token, like bundle of tokens, right? So it's a lower cost, it's a more value for what you're going to get per credit. So again, if I'm just going to go ahead and let's just switch over to Gemini 2.5 Flash, because we're just having fun today. And then I've got my message. So how can I help you? Let's come back here. We can ask this a question, but we'll show you some tips here. If I need to add more context, I can hit this plus file and I can upload files, and then that's going to include it as part of my request. The more background and backstory that we get on an AI platform, the more applicable and correct our results are going to be. So it's great to give it as much information as you can and tell it who it is. I love one of the ways that I heard AI be described is it's like a coworker who's really good at his job, but every morning he forgets who he is. And so when you tell him what he needs to do for you that day, you also have to remind him what his job is. All right, so we could do that. Take a look at it. Then we get into our tools. Now, tools we talked a little bit about are ways that AI can interact with external data. One of the big fears with AI is we talk about it learning or training. An LLM is effectively just a database of terms and knowledge. It's its memory. It's its database, however you want to look at it. But that means that it is constantly having to learn more about the world and what's going on. It would be impossible for it to know absolutely everything all the time about every context. So there's an introduction of this concept called tools. Tools allow an AI to leverage outside data and incorporate it as included context, right? So we can see if I click on show all tools, this means I can make it so that part of its results allows the AI platform to search Google or search Perplexity, which is an AI specific search engine. Firecrawl lets it browse the web. So does Tavily. It can create code in Python and create files and what have you. All kinds of integrations. It can figure out the weather. We can actually, this is what's really cool, we can integrate it specifically into your data silos if you want. So maybe you want it to be able to read your email and help you summarize your tasks for the week. That's fine. We can come in here, we can hit connect, and what this will do is this will connect and it'll allow it to create that. Again, it's not going to train off of that data. Instead, it's going to use a Microsoft 365 tool to query your mailbox. This allows it to set that tool up. So there's all kinds of tools. I think there's over 40 for sure, and they're constantly adding new tools and integrations every single day. It's awesome. Very awesome. Maybe you don't exactly know what tool you need. If you hit auto tool, it'll automatically use tools that are authorized. You notice that it said Microsoft 365 needed to be connected. It will not check my email because there's no connection there. The tool is not configured. But this will let it look into what's going on in terms of, say, the internet on those pre-woods. All right. So let's talk. Let's start off with our first prompt. So I'm going to turn on auto tool because sometimes it's just easier because I know that I'm going to ask it for relevant data based on, let's say, the news. At the time of the recording, the Winter Olympics are going on, and I'm just a little bit curious about how we're doing. So let's just start off with a prompt, and we can say, how is the United States performing in the 2026 Winter Olympics? Can you provide a table of standings as well with our current medal count and what the remaining schedule of events are? Let's just see what happens. I'll hit my send button over here or press enter just like I was talking to a user in Teams. And what's going to happen, you're going to see some things happen here. You'll see that my message came up at the top, and now what it's doing is it's going through and it's going to figure out what's going on. We're getting a history of what's going on here, and you can see, look, this tool called Tavily Search means that it has decided that the data it has in its LLM is not current enough to know the current events. So it's going to use the Tavily tool to search the web. It's done that, and then it's going to do some more search and some more review, and now we have a response. The 2026 Winter Olympics are currently underway in Milan and Cortina. From February 6th to 2022. As of today, which, we're pulling back the flag here a little bit, of February 11th, here's how the United States is performing and the current medal standings. Team USA has secured a total of 7 medals consisting of 2 gold, 3 silver, 2 bronze. We're currently tied for 3rd place in total medals with Japan. So here, as of February 11th, as of the recording of this podcast episode, we can see our current medal standings. Pretty sweet. And look at how, remember I said I wanted it to format the data in a certain way? It's very key because if there's a way that you're expecting it, let's tell the AI that. AI is fantastic at taking data that doesn't have structure and building structure. Very, very cool. And you can see it even gives me the opportunity to download this as a CSV file, which I could then put into a PowerPoint presentation. Now, this is just metals, but maybe you were trying to do sales numbers. Okay. Now, we get a warning, please note, blah, blah, blah. Here's what's happening today. Here's all of our upcoming events and figure skating. And then, of course, there's a plug to visit the official channels. So pretty cool. Was pretty fast. I do kind of want to go through, because sometimes what is also fun is to go through and take a look at the tool results. Some of these will give you great insight into how it's thinking. There's also, when you get into a thinking module, it gives you a great idea of what's going on. Okay, so we've done this. Let's do a slightly different one. I'll hit new chat. You are a marketing professional for a managed IT service provider in Ohio. You want to share some common tips and tricks for utilizing secure AI in your client's business. Structure it as a podcast, right? Why not? And highlight important takeaways and notes in the content. We'll see what happens here. So this is a thinking or reasoning model, so we'll get a little bit more in depth into what it is. Generate a thumbnail image for we won't say a YouTube, that's associated blog article, because we're going to make a blog. Let's see what happens. Again, we're coming in blind, but I just need some help with this. I gave it a backstory, and the reason I gave it a backstory, I told it who it was. By giving it a personality, the more personality that I give the AI, the closer to the tone and the target of the data that I want. Like, what's the result I want? Well, if I just say, give me a whole bunch of article, or, give me a podcast, then, it's going to do it based on what it thinks is the most popular, which might be more enterprise, or maybe it's more personal. But specifically, I said, look, you work for an IT provider. You work for Lighthouse IT Solutions, right? So let's talk about a little bit from what's going on here. So, all right, let's take a look. Podcast, Secure AI for Ohio Businesses, Practical Tips. It made up a host. I don't know why it made up a host, and it knows that we're the Buckeye State. Don't go to those guys. They're not as good as Lighthouse IT Solutions. I don't even know if they exist. But let's talk about a teaser, how to unlock AI. Here's all the content. And it's even because we mentioned that we want this to be a video podcast. It's saying, look, here's your chapters. What does this mean? What's our highlights here? What's our takeaways? Everything I told it to make sure that I wanted it to stand out, it did. And so here's that entire content of everything that we need. And this is broken down into how long, what chapters it thinks that should be. I should be done talking at 20 minutes and 40 seconds. It obviously has never met. That's why it recommended Alex do the chat. And what did we get down here? We got a thumbnail photo for the blog article. So now I can just go in and I can save that image. Bob's your uncle. Now, on top of just regular chat, you can have it help you structure this data in Excel, whatever. But another great feature that I do want to highlight very quickly before we call it a day is the concept of agents. Now, with agents are a way, because, right, we talked about how you're going to have all of this context and have to give it over and over and over again. Might be really difficult. So here's what we did. We created an agent, okay? And what this agent does is it's going to create dad jokes. All right? So, hello, I'm the dad jokes agent. How can I help? Blah, blah, blah. So I go through, I give it some basic information. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some background. This is what we call the system prompt. You are the dad joke generator, a warm, friendly, endlessly enthusiastic dad with a heart of gold and a pocket full of groan-worthy puns. Your mission is to produce classic, wholesome dad jokes on any topic the user requests, or offer random dad jokes when no topic is given. We define things like the core behavior, the humor style, how it should handle certain topics. We should give dad explanations, enthusiasm. And so we give it examples so that it knows more about things that we want to encourage it to do. We give it things that we don't want it to do. We tell it how to interact better with me if it's vague, what have you. So we'll use this for just real quick. And then we pick our model, agent, and any sources or tools that we want to include, okay? So now if I come into my chat, you probably saw this when we were doing our demo. Here's my dad jokes. And I could say, hey, I'm feeling a bit down today. And let's see what dad joke generator has to say about that. So what's happened is I've just given it a generic prompt, but because we've given it so much more backstory, it knows that it wants to provide me with a joke. So I told it, hey, I'm feeling a bit down. One of the rules is it says anytime you see, hey, dad, or hey, blah, I'm blah, 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 repeat it and say, I'm dad. So it followed that rule. Sorry you're having a tough day. Let me turn that frown upside down with some grade A certified groaners. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. What did the ocean say to the beach? Nothing. It just waved. That's actually, I like that one. I'm keeping that one. Here's one more for good measure. I used to be addicted to soap, but I'm clean now. And then here's a little takeaway. Remember, tough days are just like clouds. They pass through, and the sun's always up there waiting. And if you need more terrible jokes to distract you, I've got an unlimited supply. Hang in there, champ. You got this. Now, that was just a little bit of us using the AI to come up with stupid jokes. But perhaps you want to be able to automate research on companies. You absolutely can. The more that you can integrate with sources, the more that you can provide context. This enables you to reach out and create just simple things where maybe in a sales process you want to vet out businesses. You could say, tell me more about company X, and have it go out and do all of the research for you about company X. Absolutely could do that. I know we covered a lot, but we covered absolutely nothing in today's lab. But I just want you to know, AI is not as scary as we think. It's just like everything else. We need to be safe and secure. And using a solution like Hatz, partnered with us here at Lighthouse IT Solutions, makes it a grade A choice for implementing an AI strategy for your business. If you want to know more, you're definitely going to want to reach out to us, or keep an eye out because we have been doing Lighthouse AI Summits out of our facility where we do hands-on training and education. They're fantastic. It's a great time. Until then, we'll catch you next time on the next Lighthouse IT Solutions Lab.